Thanks for joining us today on Sheridan County Ag Podcast. With me is Chaney Peterson, one of the ag instructors at Sheridan High School. Chaney, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited.
Well, it's about time to start school, and you've been on the run between county fair, state fair, getting married here shortly with all those plans. So let's just dive right in. What do we got going on?
So yeah, we've had a really busy summer. For ag teachers, it's just kind of ongoing. We're always working with students or doing professional development. We went to some conferences this summer. Kids went to FFA camp. I had the cool opportunity to go to Kentucky for 10 days and do a plant science curriculum training. And then we went right into county fair, state fair, and now we're doing in-service and getting ready for the students to come. So it's exciting.
Well, and John B. Kendrick FFA was well represented at county and state fair. Near and dear to my heart. I'm an alumni, so yeah. Well, let's talk about this new horticulture program that you've got.
Yeah, so we're really excited. This is one of a couple big changes for our department this year, but I get the chance to teach horticulture, which previously was taught at the high school. It's been a while since it's been offered, but I have my biology endorsement, so this class will serve as a dual purpose, so kids can take it as an elective, and our ag kids need an ag class for FFA, right? So they'll serve that purpose. And then also any kid in the high school eligible can take that and get biology credit. So that's kind of cool. We have two full semesters on our roster. So the big part with that is the greenhouse. So the high school is very fortunate to be able to use the greenhouses on 5th Street that were previously Holly Seed Company.
Mm-hmm.
And so we are just kind of trying to figure out our plan of action on how to best utilize that space, especially with the horticulture class and our chapter and any other ag students. But, there's a lot of planning and prep and materials and purchasing and all those things that we've started, but we just need I'm looking for some community input. And so we're just having those conversations on what's going to best fill the need in our community.
I think that people don't think about, one, what horticulture is, and two, just how important it is in the ag community. I mean, it's a huge thing, from the farming to having a greenhouse, raising plants, trees, all of it. So
yeah, horticulture is anything. It's plant production, and it's anything from, your fresh produce that you typically would get at the grocery store to ornamental plants, landscaping, floriculture. That all kind of falls into horticulture. So we're going to be in the class side of things covering pretty much every aspect of that, some more in depth than others, but soil quality, water quality, hydroponics is extremely popular, and it's just becoming more popular. So we definitely do a lot in that class as well with hydroponics. So it's just a lot of new and fun things.
Well, and something that people probably don't think about that's right here in our back door is like turf management, especially with our polo fields that we have. I mean, it's all relevant to that.
Yeah, and that's the cool thing about teaching ag is we have those ag kids that grew up on farms and ranches, and they are very equipped and they're knowledgeable about those things. But I love seeing the athletic kids, the musical kids, the art kids, and for somewhere in their lives, we can make that connection. And there's something for them in ag, but also in horticulture, like everyone loves a good plant, or at least I hope they do.
We grew wheat in a bucket. That was ours back in the Jim Bond days of FFA and ag. That was our horticulture out in the shop,
Totally. Yeah. So, and we still do things like that. We're still lucky and have a smaller greenhouse that's attached to the shop. So we plan on using that in addition. And most years we will plant some seedlings, and it's mostly for the kids to get involved. But then we'll, ask teachers or people we know. It's never been a hugely publicized thing. Mm-hmm. We've been utilizing that. So we're excited to take that to the next level and get a little more hands-on, get a little more in depth. But yeah, we definitely make it work. Like, we could grow wheat in a bucket. Sure. We can do whatever you need.
You bet. Cowboy State Bank, helping farmers, ranchers, and the ag community succeed for over 100 years. Well, let's expand on this community involvement. What are you looking for from the community, and how can they get a hold of you, and how can they help?
Sure. So this was, I taught in Sidney, Nebraska before I came here last year, and I'm from Sheridan, but I'm happy to be back. But when I came last summer, they were starting this conversation about how do we use these greenhouses. And so we've been in lots of meetings. The district is very involved. We're involved with Rooted in Wyoming. There's a church involved. And then there's been conversations about how can the community as a whole benefit from the 2 greenhouses. Our point of view, we get to use half basically of one of those greenhouses, which is huge still. And we're just looking for a way, I guess, to better serve the community, like what's going to be needed the most. One of the things we want to avoid is competing with other companies or, like Landon's and all the other greenhouses in our community. We don't want to really compete with them, but we want to offer things that are needed. So there was a conversation at one point to grow lettuce for the school district and offer that in our school lunches, which is definitely still on our radar, something we want to do. But anything and everything from growing flowers, poinsettias, Easter lilies, starting seedlings to sell to people, growing fresh produce year round. I mean, there's just so many options. So we just want anybody's community input. And our goal with this at this time is just to gather information so that we could just make the most informed decision.
So how do they, if people want to voice their opinion or participate in your survey, how do they do that? Where do they find it?
Sure. They can go to the Sheridan John B. Kendrick FFA Facebook page. It is linked there and it's pinned to the top, so it'd be easy to find.
Okay.
Me and Clay Christensen's information is on the district website. You can text me, email me, whatever. The survey would be the most helpful. It takes maybe 2 minutes to do.
Well, I looked through it before we came out here, so I didn't look too long. So
awesome.
And if you need any information, go ahead and just call up here at the Sheridan Media offices, and I can get you in contact with Clay and Chaney both.
Yes, that'd be awesome.
So what else do you want to talk about? What else we've got coming up with FFA? Because I know the kids are getting back to school. Your officers have has been to some trainings, and they're getting ready. So what have we got coming up?
So honestly, I was thinking about this before I came here, and I'm really excited for this year because we have a lot of really good things happening. Our FFA chapter is growing. We have 11 officers this year, which is by far the biggest officer team I've ever worked with, but they're all really awesome. So I'm excited to work with them. We actually are going tomorrow up the mountain to Camp Roberts for a retreat and focusing just on some team development, kind of putting some goals and mission, vision, starting to do some work for the chapter. As a class or as a department on the class side of things, there's another new thing to our department. I think last year was the first year the high school offered blended learning, or maybe the year before, but this is a hybrid class. And so students are able to do most of the work independently, kind of at their own pace. And then they meet in person a couple days a week as well. So we had a huge demand for classes. We actually had over 600 kids sign up for ag classes this year.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and most of those are welding or project construction, but a lot in the science classes as well. So we are offering an animal science blended learning class this year. So we're excited because more kids can take that. And I just think that, not every student loves to sit in the classroom. So it just offers a little more flexibility for more people. We're really excited.
Quality Kubota machinery and customer care from the heart. Proudly serving Sheridan and the surrounding areas since 1996. Go online to heartlandkubota.com or stop by Heartland Kubota, 2450 Heartland Drive. Wow, I think how things have changed since, it was just a few years ago. I graduated 30. But when I took ag, you literally had ag 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it covered everything from shop to classroom, all that. And there wasn't really the opportunity to get to go one direction if you really wanted to do that. And then when Nick Siddle came in, he was my teacher the last 2 years. He did change that a little bit to where we could, those of us who didn't want to weld could do more classroom things and focus. So it was nice. So it's really great that they now offer these separate things instead of just all lumped into one.
Totally. And I think that's not nationwide. That is a trend for sure. We've seen that change through FFA's history and AG's history. it used to be, when it first started, of course, it was those production ag kids. And so that's the focus when it first got going. But now ag is all things, right? So we're trying as a ag education unit to just improve and represent the industry the best we can. So yeah, there's like countless options that could be taken.
Well, it's crazy how much the ag industry has evolved and changed.
Yeah.
And so much of it is, I mean, you look at a tractor now, it's GPS coordinated and everything else. It's not just look back and try to make sure your row was straight. It's changed so much.
Yes. Yeah. And that's the cool thing about what we do. And that's why I love this job, because there's never a day that's the same. Every year looks different. Every class period is different. And we cover countless subjects just in a semester or even just in a day. It's really fun.
Excuse me. Well, FFA has changed and evolved as well. Not just your ag in the classroom type setting, but the FFA program has continuously grown and changed.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think one of the coolest things I think right now is there are more female members than men, which is a huge change. Thinking that it started with just men only. And, that's true in our chapter too. We have active men and women, but we have a lot of young ladies that are super involved. And, even in our shop classes, it's kind of just open to anyone and anybody in any sport, in any activity. We see a lot of different kids.
Well, and I think some people have to realize FFA is not just about the animals anymore, or like you said, just for the farm and ranch kids. I mean, it's so much about leadership, public speaking, the development they grow, their business development. It's changed and evolved.
Oh, yeah.
Making plans for building a new barn, shop, or commercial building? Don't do any planning without a call to Sheridan's premier post-frame building and homes builder, True Built Builders, online at truebuiltbuilders.com.
Every year, I mean, there's more contests that are on the table to be discussed, and Nebraska is a much larger organization than Wyoming, but I experienced things that I didn't even see in Wyoming that kind of blew my mind. Floriculture, designing flower sets for weddings, for funerals, lots of different public speaking, events. I'm trying to think. There was several. The food science industry is really catching on right now with high schools, and how do we create those canned food items? What can be canned and what can't? How do we look at the chemical properties of food to make sure that it's lasting however long it should last, flavored? Those are all ag related, and I appreciate that that's part of the conversation now. As a society, we're really talking about where our food's coming from. I think it's a good trend that we're on. And so I think kids are buying into that for sure.
Such a different experience than when even you were there, which was just a few years ago, and then a century ago for me, it feels like. But and John B. Kendrick FFA has been on the national stage as well. We've had Jet West, who's gone 2 years to national convention in the public speaking realm. So we're well represented, not just within the state, but within the nation.
Yes. Yeah, that's something we always push for in the spring when it comes to CDE time, our events. That's a goal for sure. And I was lucky to go when I was in high school, and we've had, like you said, Jet's been a few times. So we're always trying to be represented there.
Mm-hmm. There's actually a national champion horse judging team from here from the 90s.
Heck yeah.
I was not on it, but my best friend was.
Yeah.
But they're here in Sheridan County.
That's
so
right. Yeah, you're exactly right. I think our program is continuously evolving, and I'm very lucky to be back in Sheridan. It's cool to be back where I was a member, and see those. Sheridan's a great place, and I think our success in FFA and on the national level is definitely a testament to our community and our school for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Chaney, thanks for being here today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I think we'll see more of you and some of our students. We're going to try to have you guys on at least once a month and talking about what's going on in FFA and kind of get some exposure for you guys.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. That's part of our retreat items that we're going to cover. So we'll we'll come back from that with a lot of ideas and plans to talk with you guys more.
Well, great. One more time where they can find that community survey for the horticulture.
Yes, if they will go to Sheridan John B. Kendrick FFA's Facebook page, it's linked there. And as always, you can anytime reach out to me or Clay Christensen, phone, email, either or.
Perfect. Well, Chaney, thanks for being here. Good luck with your retreat. And thank you for joining us on Sheridan County Ag Today.